The men counted the precious potatoes. Each one is numbered, but no matter how many times he counted them, there's only enough to last him 500 days. And NASA's supplies won't arrive for another 800 days. In order to survive, Matt had to cut back on his diet, from 3 potatoes a day to 1 in 3 days. But even then, the food didn't last long. He sat in the sun on Mars to minimize his physical exertion. He even became desperate. He had written a suicide note. At this critical moment, NASA received a command. 4 of Matt's teammates are still on the space station. They risked their lives. They risked their lives by cutting off control of the space agency. They agreed to change course, to return to Mars to rescue Matt. Matt has suffered a loss of facial features. Matt was already suffering from dementia. Matt's already suffering from disfigurement. It's about 100 days before the station. The space station's arrival on Mars is about 100 days away. Before then, he has to get to the pickup point, remove the solar cells, and put it all on the rover, and get dressed. He's left the base where he's lived for years. He was alone. He set out on a journey without a second thought. Every 4 hours that the rover runs, he had to stop for 13 hours to recharge, and so he traveled. It took him another 80 days. He finally saw the old craft at its designated spot. This is the equipment that was set aside when the last team left. Now this ancient machine holds all of Matt's hopes. Matt's first order of business was to remove the windows. All the heavy equipment was thrown down. And finally, even the roof. He wanted to minimize the weight of the craft to make sure he could get to a high enough altitude. And that meant that he would be at greater risk. By the appointed day, the space station is finally approaching Mars. Hundreds of millions of people on Earth are watching the rescue. For the last few moments, Matt shaved off his beard. He wanted to look his best, to face his teammates who had come to rescue him. Because of the gravitational pull of Mars, the space station can't get too close. They have to wait high up in the sky. People are holding their breath. They look to the sky with concern. As the countdown ends, Matt finally left Mars, although he had tried to minimize the weight. But when the vehicle ran out of fuel, he still hadn't reached his assigned altitude. Matt remained 60 kilometers from the space station. Matt was still 60 kilometers from the space station. The team had to take a risk. They accelerated towards Mars, but before the red line of heat, they must slow down and stop. It's time to stop. It's time to stop. The captain had a risky idea. He had his companion fetch the bomb and stood in the most unpredictable chamber. As the countdown ended, the bomb was detonated instantly. The air pressure was released. The air pressure leaked out, creating a tremendous amount of thrust. The station decelerated. It has come to a safe stop. The captain put on the safety rope. He floated towards Matt, but with 300 meters to go. But when the last 300 meters were left, the safety line came to an end. Looking at his teammates in front of him, Matt decided to give it a go. He took out his scissors and cut a hole in his hand. Matt clenched his hands. He finally controls the airflow. Then he adjusted his direction, and he sprays himself high into the air.